Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Sitting Courtside, episode 49. Just like the first 48 episodes, my name is Dante.
Hey, of course, it's your boy Jerry D getting up there. Close to
That's
50.
we're getting there. Half of a century. We're getting the big 5-0, baby. Hitting some big milestones over the next few weeks. We are back here today, kind of talking some news going around the league. Nothing crazy. Again, we're in the middle of the off season. We got Team USA basketball, Olympic basketball going on right now. So we'll talk about that at the end. We have some contract developments that we'll start with, and also this week we're starting to give our off-season report cards to NBA teams, and we're going to start with the Atlantic Division: Celtics, Sixers, Knicks, Nets, Raptors. But we will get into that in just a moment. Before we do that, Jerry, there is a piece of news that broke earlier today that I feel like we should be talking about because this is a player that we've talked about a good amount over the last few weeks of whether we believed he was going to get traded, staying where he is, or whatever it may be. So Utah Jazz forward Lauri Markkanen has signed a 5-year, $238 million contract renegotiation and extension. $220 million of that is new money. So he got quite a big of a pay raise, if
Indeed.
I may say so myself. Well deserved. Former All Star player, definitely a huge bright spot in that Jazz organization. Someone that the Jazz, especially they got rid of Mitchell, Gobert over the years. They kind of moving some guys around. He has been the staple. He has been the cornerstone to that franchise, and as long as he is there, do I believe that they're a team that is, a guaranteed play-in team or anything like that? No, but I believe he is someone that keeps them, on the radar.
Yep.
You can't count out the Jazz for, filling in one of those last playoff spots. So yeah, Lauri Markkanen staying in Utah, and with that, he cannot be traded for the first year of his contract. So that's another big thing to point out because obviously we know the Golden State Warriors were one of the teams that were looking to trade for him potentially. Obviously, it didn't happen. So I want to get your 2 cents, your thoughts on this signing, what this means for Utah, what it means for even a team like Golden State who couldn't get their hands on him. What are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, I mean, to really put this as positive as possible for a team like Utah out in the Northwest, which is like already, I've been there, it's not really a lot going on. It's,
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
very
The
much,
night the nightlife isn't that crazy. The lights aren't as bright.
no, the lights ain't as bright. I don't really know if that's a place for anybody that might look like me. To be totally honest with you, I'm just gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it
we
all the way hot.
we've had that conversation before. We can keep that behind closed
Yes,
doors. But
yes,
yes,
absolutely.
mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think it's dope that they actually, they have an established franchise centerpiece and they committed to it. Now, the Jazz have a 25-year-old star, a dope nickname in the finisher, can go ahead and build around him, put some pieces
Is that
around
his
him.
nickname? The
Yeah,
finisher?
the finisher, from Finland. It's
Oh,
pretty
see
dope.
that's kind of clever. We don't have clever nicknames like that anymore.
The finisher. It's
That's good.
it's
That's really
tough,
good.
strong. But
Yeah.
now yeah, like overall, I think it's a great move. If you're the Warriors, you messed up. You really didn't. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. We even clipped off a segment about it. They didn't want to give up Podzminski, which was the deciding factor. This is a guy that is going to average 25 plus. I saw a stat earlier that he attempted the most threes ever by a guy that's over 7 feet tall per game, which is like around 8 a game I saw. So he's going to get them shots up there. He fits the new NBA. He can stretch the floor, and this guy is going to be a beast for probably the next decade or so. So if you're Golden State, you failed to extend Steph's window. What will you do now? If you're Utah, great job. You've secured a
Yeah.
franchise piece.
100%. I'm kind of just scrolling through Twitter right now, or X, if you want to be politically correct, and looking at this tweet. It's from Sam Esfandieri. I could have butchered that
Our first
completely.
shot out.
Our first shout out. It seems like he is maybe a Golden State reporter. Yeah, it's his location, San Francisco. So his tweet is, for those of you who are upset that the Warriors did not get Lauri Markkanen. I remember a decade ago when the Warriors also passed on trading a young shooting guard for a power forward who put up big numbers on a lottery team. 4 rings later, I think they know what they're doing. I think this is a completely different situation here. Yes, they're talking about Klay Thompson for Kevin Love.
Yeah.
We know that was a report, a rumor a decade ago, right? But that was a time when you had 3 guys, a collective of guys coming up at the same time that were going to hit their primes at the same time. Everything was going good.
Yeah,
Now you have those 2 of those guys. One of them's out the door. 2 of them are aging. One of them is definitely not as good as he once was. Cough, cough, Draymond. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not his former defensive player of the year self. While Steph Curry is aging like fine wine. In this case, it's a little different, going after a guy, yes, on a lottery team putting up big numbers, but Lauri Markkanen has proven over the years that he is a all-star caliber player, that he is someone that could have helped a team that is, a playoff team. And me and you both agree he would have been a great fit in Golden State. And also Brandon Podziemski, no offense to this guy, but he's not a Klay Thompson. He's not one of the better shooters of this generation of all time. So let's just get that out of the way. The fact that the Warriors just refused to give up Podziemski and all this makes it, a head scratch. Hopefully, things
Very
work
much
out
so.
in Golden State. We want Steph Curry to, continue to be successful. But again, we've discussed that if the Warriors organization doesn't put the right talent around him and they continue to miss the playoffs, losing the play-in first round, whatever it may be, there's no guarantee he stays. So
yeah, with all due respect, I respect any reporter that puts in the same type of time that I do, man. That job is very strenuous. It is difficult. I can respect what he's saying, but like you said, this is an entirely different situation. We were talking about the Warriors having a young nucleus that looked like, at that time in 2014, whatever it was, at that time, hey, these 3, maybe this is it. Like, there's still a lot of promise.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, like you said, an aged veteran core, which had a piece of it broken off, to where now you have these young guys in place, to where the only guy that I'm looking at that could possibly keep Steph in the Bay long term and make that 100% sign and deal that he's not leaving Golden State, it's going to be Jonathan Kuminga, not Podziemski, who they were asking for you to give up. So a lot of question marks there. I don't know if I can get what our Warriors reported there, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I think this situation is it's a little different, just a little different, just a little bit.
10 years later, let's be honest, and it's like Lauri was the best available guy out there. Who's going to be the next available guy that they can go after? Who's going to be the next all-star player that's going to be on the market that they could potentially pair with Steph Curry?
They better hope Minnesota has a bad season so they can trade Cat, but Minnesota's probably going to be favored to come out the West.
100%. Yeah, it's like you have the NBA is fast moving, right? Things happen, things change so quick that there might be someone that becomes available even a few months at the trade deadline, right? Like, we don't have a crystal ball, we can't look into the future. But we're at a point right now, you're at a point in Steph Curry's career where you have to take the chances when an opportunity is brought about, like Gang Lauri was. That might be something you have to strike on, because if you miss out, who knows when the next one's going to be available, and it might be too late. And when that does happen, because Steph Curry might be out the door already, so they're going to have it's going to be a very interesting season for Golden State. I also saw a report, I don't know if you saw this, that apparently Steph and Draymond were pleased with how the offseason has gone for Golden State.
I want to hear them say that.
I would much rather hear that come out of their mouths, because I have a hard time believing that. I don't know what goes on in the mind of Steph or Draymond. I don't know who said that, what reporter it was. But I wouldn't be thrilled if I was either of them personally.
I think role player wise, DeAnthony Melton, one of the better role players, I believe. And then
they got Buddy Hield,
they got Kyle
the only
Anderson.
guy that's been a better shooter than Steph, I guess.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking.
They got Kyle Anderson. So you replaced a legend, a guy that's going to have a statue. I understand Klay
should have a statue.
Like, I get that he wasn't playing his best basketball. I understand that 100%. But it's not like you replace him with a guy that's going to step in and give you 25 a night. They got a lot of good role players. By those standards, I guess, sure. But in terms of adding a bigger name to compete with these other teams in the West, I'm not confident. Unless Jonathan Kuminga, again, that's the big asterisk.
Takes a
Kuminga
big
takes a
step
major
up.
step up, then okay, the Warriors would be fine.
I
But
guess Moses Moody too. You can throw his name
yeah,
in the hat there.
I'll say before we do move on into our Atlantic Division report card here, think about what the Lakers did. What was it, 2012, 2013-ish, when Kobe's declining, obviously, but this is our guy. We need to figure out a way to get another star player, aging or not. Somehow Steve Nash
Right.
ended up on the Lakers. He,
Somehow.
and it was
By the grace of God.
it was a very obviously I know Steve Nash was hurt coming out of Phoenix. He had back and leg issues and whatnot, but the namesake, the name value, what they did for their franchise star and Kobe Bryant, we're gonna try to get another guy with you to kind
They
of
tried. They attempted. Yeah.
see if we could. Obviously, everybody that's watching this, I hope you know, it failed miserably.
Yeah.
Okay,
Didn't
and we
work
had to
out.
go through an era where Robert Sacre was and Jordan Hill were our starting front court. Bad times
Yeah.
indeed. But
Yeah.
hey, we tried.
You tried. The Warriors aren't trying right now
No,
because they're afraid of giving up Podsmans, who I've gone on record and said I think he's going to be a great player. He's a great utility player. I think he knows how to play the game of basketball.
very well.
Not disputing that it's not like you wouldn't give up Podsminski. He said no, but that's not what I'm saying. He's a very good player, but it's like when it comes to getting someone at the caliber of Lauri Markkanen, that is a bona fide. He is a right on the threshold of being an all-star every single season. It's a no-brainer for me. So
I guess for the sake of keeping the glue together, the core together, the Warriors didn't want to mess up chemistry. That's what is I'm going to assume that Mike Dunleavy Jr. didn't want to do. He wanted to keep the guys together. That's what I'm going to assume happened.
well, good thing Mike Dunleavy isn't running my team. Okay. Let's move on to
Uncalled
these
for.
report cards. Let's move on to these report cards that we have been talking about. So, obviously, there are 30 NBA teams. There are 6 divisions. We're going to be going one division at a time each week. So, this week, we're going to be starting with the Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference. Like I mentioned before, Celtics, Knicks, Sixers, Nets, and Raptors. We're going to go one at a time, Jerry. I think I have it just going down from the record of last year.
Yeah.
We can either work our way up. So we can start with like the worst teams, move our way up, and then that'll be it for this episode. If you want to start, Jerry, I think the first team that we have here is the Toronto Raptors. What grade are you giving the Raptors?
Oh, I'm gonna give the Raptors a B. Well,
Mm-hmm.
before I actually go into the spiel, I for one hate divisions in NBA basketball. I think it's ridiculous because it
Yeah,
literally holds
not a
no
fan.
weight. It holds no weight. I just had to get that out. But yeah,
That's fine. Hey, let it out of your system, brother.
I will give the Raptors a B though. I think no, they didn't make any big major splash in free agency, but I think they had their free agency moves basically in season. Whenever they traded Pascal to Indiana, right, got some
Yep.
draft compensation. They happened to get Emmanuel quickly, who's going to be a part of their future, who they extended. And they got Scotty Barnes locked in as well. And they also got RJ Barrett. So
Yeah.
it might not look like on paper like this team is going to be, insert Jimmy Butler meme here. The team's not going to exactly be a contender out east or even a playoff team or even a play-in team. But
Right.
with what they have assembled currently right now, like I like it. I like Jakob Pertl. I like RJ Barrett, like I said, who arguably was their second best player in the Olympics for Team Canada, who got their ass eliminated early. So, but like
Yep.
overall though, I like the makings of their team to be one of those. We talked about Utah in the beginning of our show here, who kind of had the right pieces in place, or at least a franchise guy. I believe Utah has a couple. Scotty Barnes is probably your ideal two-way player in today's league. 6'9", could shoot the ball a little bit, average 20 plus a game, could get you 10 boards. And hopefully his playmaking aspects could actually grow as well. But RJ Barrett could be the go-to scorer for the team. A guy that could
Yeah.
also average 20 plus potentially. Emmanuel quickly fits your prototypical idea of what you see in a point guard. He's 6'5", wiry, fast, can score, can shoot it, get hot in a hurry. Like I like the makings of what they have. Could it be better? Sure. Instead of a B, I'll bump it down to a C plus. I'll say
Okay.
that because they didn't really
Okay.
bring in any major name, but they did keep young pieces and have them locked in for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, bonus points for that in my mind.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was going to go with the C plus. That was going to be my grade because they didn't make any no big signings, no big moves. Like you said, the trade deadline last year, getting rid of Siakam and OG was kind of, that was their big, like, cleaning house, getting young players, picks, whatever it may be, back. Um, but although they didn't sign anyone this offseason, they didn't do anything like that. They did lock up their future.
Yeah.
And, Scotty Barnes is 23, RJ is 24, Quickly is 25. So you have three guys that are within, a year or two of each other that you could really build around. You gave a lot of money to a guy like Scotty Barnes. So you obviously have a lot of confidence in him. Same with Quickly. I think Quickly and RJ coming to Toronto, them being former teammates as well, so that that helps with the chemistry and stuff. I think they have something to go off of, right? I don't think that they'll be a playoff team this year. I don't think that they'll be, anything great. I don't think they're gonna, and nothing to write home about. But I think that they have the foundation, they have the building blocks, and hey, if these guys all make a big step this year, which is it could happen, it absolutely could.
They're
Who
young.
knows? Maybe they are competing for a play-in team. Maybe they are, yeah, I don't want to say Cinderella story, but maybe they make a run in this during the season
The
and they
bottom of the
surprise a lot
East,
of people.
the bottom of the East is pretty shaky most of the time.
It's not like the West. It's a lot. It's not as competitive as the West once you get to that 7 to 10 seed area. So who
Yeah.
knows? They could sneak in there. But yeah, C plus didn't have a bad off season. They did what they had to do, but they also didn't do enough to, for me to think that they can be successful this year. Put it that way.
No, I'm right there with you. I think at the end of the day, the Raptors are going to probably win anywhere from, they won 25 games this past year. They could possibly get back to that mark, or maybe even 35. Like there's a small window where they could be better than what the Hawks were this year, who made it into the play-in. So
I'll tell you what, man. They were the last team in the division last year. I don't think they'll be the last this year,
okay,
because that team, and the team that we'll be talking about next, is the Brooklyn Nets, who this offseason got rid of their star player Mikal Bridges, sent him to New York,
is he
got
a
a
star?
shit ton of picks. Well, depending who you're talking to, but they got a shit ton of picks back. They also got. I have the trade pull. ESPN, like, I just want you to tell me, like, just give me the rundown of the trade. I don't want to be reading this whole article.
I know it was
That,
Bogdan Bogdanovic. It was a part of the
that's
deal.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. Regardless, they got some players, but mostly picks back. They're replenishing a lot of their draft capital that they lost from trading for a James Harden. Trading for a Kevin Durant. They kind of got replenished there. Got replenished by Phoenix when they did trade KD, and also they got their own pick back as well, from
Huge.
Phoenix. They did a little swap there. Phoenix got their pick back, and then Brooklyn gets their pick. So that means if they tank this year, which is from how I started this, a strong possibility, they will be able to keep their pick. They will be getting the guy that hopefully, maybe they'll get the number one pick. They'll get whoever falls there, whatever. So Brooklyn Nets, I'm honestly not going to be that harsh for them here, because although they aren't going to be good next year, I think they made the right move, because we've talked about this. No one was coming to join Bridges. So at this point, you had to give up on him. They still have a few guys on the roster that are very tradable, that I can see them, getting a few more picks from as well. But I think I'm also gonna put the Nets at a C plus, because they're gonna be one of the worst teams in the league next year. That's a given. They're probably gonna start tanking after a month or two. Most likely, that's what's gonna happen. But
Guaranteed.
their future is looking great. I know that they don't have any big players. They still got Ben Simmons, but they don't have any big players on their team. But with the draft capital they get back, they hit the reset button, and now they have an opportunity to build something in Brooklyn. They can bring in a bunch of new guys through the draft, build around them. They can create a path like the Celtics did, like the Thunder did, like the Warriors did. I'm not saying that is what's going to happen, but now they have a chance to do that. They have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So because of that, I'll give them a C plus. Although they will be one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league next year.
Yeah, these grades, it's not like we're grading them to be how they're going to perform. in a
Right.
2024.
100. Yeah, I
You
mean, it
know,
would be an F
yeah,
if
yeah. Like,
if that was the
if
case for
that's the
Brooklyn.
case, we would definitely,
Yeah.
we wouldn't even be grading them. There would just be two
No.
lines and be like, yeah, let's move on. And A, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah. Exactly.
But nah, yeah, for me, I'm actually based off everything you said, I'm gonna give him a B. I
Okay.
think when you're able to trade a player like Mikal Bridges, who, like you said at the start of your soliloquy, like it was very much.
Good word. It's a good
Yeah,
word.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I do my Stephen A. homework, man. He says that all the time. But but it's very much like you got Mikal Bridges for not one, not two, but five different draft picks.
Yeah.
This is a guy that hasn't made an All-Star team. This is a guy that hasn't made an All NBA team, but he is a very durable player. I'm not trying to trash him like he's a bad player, but you basically got an All-Star caliber haul back in return
Right.
for a guy like Mikal Bridges. That's a win, man.
You just got a Donovan Mitchell return
Yeah,
for a guy that hasn't made the All-Star team.
exactly. For a guy with half the resume,
Yeah.
like I think he's going to do great things for the Villanova Knicks. I think he's going to be awesome. But damn, the Nets really finesse, man. I think I'm giving them a B with the potential to even go up to an A. Because at this point, they still have Cam Johnson, who's going to be a hot commodity on the market. They still
Absolutely.
have Cam Thomas, who could also garner some names, possibly.
Yeah.
But Ben Simmons
Dorian,
actually does show us
Finney Smith too, right?
Dorian
He's still
Finney.
on the.
Yep, that's another.
That's three. That's three first-round picks right there, at least I think.
They can get more, which is like,
Yeah.
hey, for what they're trying to do, you mentioned it, trying to tank, trying to embrace, like what they are, which is trash, to get a guy like Cooper Flag, to get a guy like Ace Bailey, possibly in this 2025 draft, assuming they come out. You did great. Like right now, you're laying out the groundwork. This is Brooklyn, not the Knicks, not the Sixers, not any of these teams that are around in your division. You're not that good.
You know you're not competing with
Yeah,
these teams, so you might as well create your own path, I
yeah.
guess.
I could appreciate whenever, like, unlike the Chicago Bulls, we'll talk about in a couple episodes here, but I could appreciate, yeah, teams that actually embrace, we're not going to win anything. We're not going to be that great in the playoffs, even if we did happen to make it. So what's the point of competing?
We're not going to make our fans miserable.
No. Right now, what they gave Brooklyn Nets fans is hope.
They did. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
if you're a Nets
the
fan,
Nets fans knew there was no shot this year. There was no hope for this year. So let's build it up for the next few years. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think they set themselves up nicely. And I think though that they should keep Cam Thomas just for fun. Trade everyone else. Let Cam Thomas average like 30 a game next year. Just let him take 30 shots a game. Let him do his thing. That'll be the bright spot next year.
No, I would not be mad at that at all. Not be mad.
You're tanking for flags, so let Thomas go crazy. We were going to go in order off of standings from last year, but we were just talking about them, so I think it's fair that we just segue into it.
Yeah.
Next team we have the New York Knicks, or the Villanova Knicks, as you said. Obviously, we kind of just went through mostly what they did this offseason, and that is trading for Mikal Bridges, obviously trading all those picks, trading a few role players as well. So as it stands right now, they have a roster of Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, OG, who am I missing? Mikal Bridges, of course, Julius Randle at their center, as well as Dante DiVincenzo, Precious Chua, Mitchell Robinson, Miles McBride, and a few Cameron Payne, a few other guys. So they have a deep roster. Obviously, they gave up a lot of draft capital to get someone like Bridges, which, that's a player that they going all in for because they're loading up on this Villanova roster. With all of that being said, I'm gonna give them a B, right? Because I think they got a good player in Bridges. I think they got a great player in Bridges, but there's still a lot of question marks around this team, and we've talked about this. My biggest question mark is Julius Randle. What's going to happen with Julius Randle? He's a guy that's been in trade talks, rumors. Doesn't fit in New York. What's his fit now? Is he going to be the starting center? Who are you going to take off the bench? What's the starting lineup going to look like? There's a lot of questions that need answers. And although I believe getting Bridges was a great move, they did give up a lot, which I don't want to say it was a desperation move, but it was like this was a guy that was available. He is best friends with some of the guys on the team. We're going to do what we can to get him. And it seemed like that's exactly what they did. I just don't know we did a game of this, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, was describe this team in one sentence.
Yeah.
And you said the New York Knicks, and I said they got close, but not close enough. They got closer, but not close enough. I think that they're better than they were last year on paper for sure, but I don't think they've done enough to be on the level of a Celtics, even a Sixers, if we want to just talk about this division. And also, they lost Isaiah Hartenstein, which was a big piece for them. He went to OKC. So,
Yeah.
the roster got shuffled, moved around a little bit. They lost some key pieces, gained someone like Bridges. I wonder if there are still moves to make. That's kind of where I stand right now.
Yeah, I think a B's fair. I that looks like it's my trend. Whenever you're in doubt on a test, you got to go with B or C, right? So I'm gonna stick with B here. I think I'm right there with you, man.
I think it could go up. I think it's like B's the floor. It definitely could have been higher, but I'm not convinced. That's all.
They paid a lot to get a guy that's really good. That was their offseason move. They re-signed OG Anunoby, who's
For a lot
probably
of
the
money.
prototypical 3-and-D guy, but you damn near gave him a max deal. Like this team right now, on paper, man, they look really good. Like this, it's not great. I don't think they're pushing to contend just from looking at what they did over the summer, but I think they have the potential to. I think they can push the Celtics or the Sixers to a 6 or 7 game series. Hell, maybe they could even beat them. I have to see how things kind of play out, but
I said it all last offseason, or last playoffs. I was like, the one team in the East that I'm worried about is the Knicks. That was the only team.
There's two things that kind of pop up in my head now that we're talking about the Knicks. One, there's instantly a clock that's starting now. Is that can Jalen, like it already started last year, right? Can Jalen Brunson lead the team to the title being the number one option? Now you're the bona fide guy. After what you did last season,
that question was answered.
And it's clear that you have enough pull to bring in your best friends from college. Like you're undisputedly the captain of New York. Like they literally announced
he was given the captain.
Yeah. So like, you're the captain now. But can you really be the guy? Because now there's definitely a clock on the Knicks that if they don't win, but they keep getting close year after year, this friendship roster isn't enough. Like they need to go out and get Donovan Mitchell or I don't know, Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, whatever guy would become available. So there's really like a year to 2 window. If they don't get to finals or get to Eastern Conference Finals or something, I can see this blowing up in our face. 2,
100%. Could ruin a friendship or two.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Hey,
who knows?
Jalen Brunson took less money just for them to even be able to stay together.
$100 million less. I wonder if he's going to look back on that and be like, "Damn,
Dante, I love
taken that money."
Dante, I love you, but if you don't take that money, if that was on the table for you, man, I don't know if I could be your friend.
I'd slap you across the face. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. He sacrificed a lot for this team to work.
It's concerning to me to what they have. 2, like you said, losing Isaiah Hartenstein's probably going to hurt a little more than what they realize. But Julius Randle, hey, newsflash, Knicks fans and anybody that might not know, Julius Randle is better than Isaiah Hartenstein. He was an all-star player.
He is.
He can play. But can he accept the role that he's about to have to play? Is what's going to be key. And if he is traded, who are they going to get? There's so many questions still.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Just too many questions. Lineups, how's it going to work? And the pressure's on. I mean, they were the second seed in the East last year, of course. But that was kind of like I hate saying, I keep saying, but like a Cinderella story thing where it's like we knew that they were going to be like decent, but we didn't think that they were going to be a team that could make it out of the Eastern Conference. Granted, there were injuries. Guys got run. Also, the biggest thing is, will Tom Thibodeau run them into the ground? Now that he has Mikal Bridges,
durable.
He's probably licking his lips right now. Probably licking his chops right now. He is salivating thinking of him playing 48 minutes every single night. So that's also something you have to consider, is that once we get to those playoffs, how are these guys going to be looking? So pressure's on. I'm with you. They have a window now. The expectation is at least Eastern Conference Finals moving. Anything less than an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, I think would be a letdown, would be an unsuccessful season for New York. So
On
And
to the
that's all
next.
we, yeah, on to the next one. So another team with high expectations because of the moves that they made this offseason, the Philadelphia 76ers. Um, Biggest signing of the offseason. They got Paul George leaving the LA Clippers. They re-signed Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, healthy. Well, hopefully going to be healthy. Who knows with that guy? Back. They got rid of the big black hole in their lineup in Tobias Harris. Uh,
Blackpool.
they put a few more pieces around those guys. So they put together a roster that I believe is championship or bust. Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, Eric Gordon, you still got Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, Robert Covington, Reggie Jackson, Jared McCain, who they got in the draft. They have a really solid roster, and I hate Philadelphia, Jerry. You know this. I hate Philadelphia. I like Celtics Lakers. That's the rivalry. I respect the Lakers. I don't like them because that's just how it is. But I hate the Sixers. I hate Philadelphia. I just don't like them. I don't like their fans. I'm sorry to any Philadelphia fans listening. I'm just not a fan of Philadelphia. But they made great moves this offseason, and genuinely is championship or bust. Joel Embiid has gotten all this flack, has been getting flack for not making it past the second round. All of his peers are making finals appearances, Eastern Conference finals appearances, winning championships, and Joel Embiid is stuck in this second round bubble. He can't get out of it, whether because of injuries, surrounding piece, whatever it may be, coaching, whatever it may be. Now you have Paul George, who is aging. He's older, but you got a guy that is rejuvenated, going back to the East. Could go down as the best teammate Joel Embiid will have in his career. Tyrese Maxey, who last year had proven that he is one of the best young players who could be a number two behind a guy like Embiid, but now he'll be probably playing, three, the third option behind Paul George. Maybe on certain nights he'll be number two. Whatever. That's kind of like a 2A, 2B situation.
Yeah.
It might be.
Yeah.
Before I give my grade, I want to get your 2 cents. I want to hear what you have to say about what they did this offseason and what your grade
Oh
is.
man, they had the best offseason, in the whole league. I think it's Paul George is the headliner. That was the biggest
Mm-hmm.
fish that was available. A few different teams wanted him. The Warriors wanted him. They missed out. The Lakers were even rumored to try to sway him from the Clippers. Didn't happen. Like, he landed in the perfect spot for himself at this point in his career. I think with me telling you that it was the best move of the offseason, I'm gonna give that an A plus. Like,
Okay.
getting Paul George is huge, but also getting the backup pieces that mattered in Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson, who's by the way has played with both Jokic, will now have an opportunity to play with Embiid. So can't wait till Philly comes to town to kind of ask a question centered around those two. I have like future things running through my mind. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I think they got good veterans that have been impact players, at certain points in their career. Like it's
Daryl Murray has his guys, for sure.
the
He,
Houston,
he,
the
he
Houston
has
guys
his
there.
his favorites, and you can tell because they go everywhere that he goes.
It's an amazing thing. Like I think Philly has the perfect recipe. If the plan is to derail the Boston Celtics, you have a center who is unguardable whenever he's healthy. You
Mm-hmm.
brought back Kelly Oubre to put alongside Paul George, and also you have capable backup point guards. Yeah, I get Kyle Lowry and Reggie Jackson are pretty old, sure, but
They're
them dudes,
vets.
those dudes can play.
In the
So
playoffs too, Kyle Lowry can be a dog, and
yeah,
Reggie Jackson has championship experience too. I have Lowry as well, but
yeah, I'm
they
excited.
bring something.
I'm excited for Philly. Like I know you hate Philadelphia, but the fact that you had to bring that up real quick, that you don't like to see them do well, you hate. Hey, shit, I don't like the city, man. Philly's a dirty place. Hated
I
both
was
of
just
them.
there a few months ago, and let me tell you, I don't want to go back. I
I,
don't have a reason to go back.
me neither.
I don't.
I
I
went in
don't.
February, and I hope that's the last time I go for a long time. Like I kid you not, but pretty
Oh,
much
poor Philly fans catching strays right now.
y'all deserve it, man. Clean up your damn city.
Hey, if you're from there, you gotta know. Listen, you know what's true. I'm with you. Again, I don't like Philly, but I give credit where credit's due. They did everything that they had to this offseason to get close to being a championship team, to getting closer to being the team that could potentially take down the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. I give them an A plus. I don't think they made a bad move this offseason. I think again they did everything right. The only thing that's going to hold them back, I think, two things that are going to hold them back. One,
Health as
the
well.
Boston Celtics. I think that's just the team they got to beat. And two, health. That's it. Joel Embiid stays healthy all year, and he gets to the playoffs healthy. Good luck to anyone that has to play the Sixers because he is going to go off on you. When he was 50%, he was putting up 30 points a game against the Knicks.
On one leg.
On one leg, and also just like he had like the Bell's palsy thing going on. He had a lot of stuff going
crazy.
on. He was still putting
crazy.
up 30. Paul George, he's older, has an injury history. If he stays healthy, that's a 20 to 25 point per game scorer right there. If you need him to be. Tyrese Maxey, being as young as he is incredible for his age, and only getting better. So it's a really good team and great vets all around. You have your core three, your big three, and then good role players around. So I think it's a very, very well put together team that at this point on paper, if there is one team that could beat Boston, that is second best behind Boston, I'd say it's the 76ers right now. Again, I don't like them, but I give them the credit. So
gotta respect them. You gotta like them.
Gotta respect them. And Jerry, last but not least, let's talk about the defending NBA champions, the Boston.
I hope everybody
Celtics.
just saw like how you try to back up a little bit to show your shirt at first.
Next team we got here. I don't know if you guys can see this. No, last but not least, we have the Boston Celtics, who they didn't do anything this offseason besides re-sign their players, which
smart move.
Sometimes that's all you got to do. There's no reason to break anything up. You gave Jason Tatum his extension. You gave Derek White his extension. Obviously, last year, Drew Holiday got his. Jaylen Brown got his. Kristaps got an extension. You bring back Hauser. You bring back everyone. They brought back everyone. The team that was just dominating the NBA last year from start to finish, won the championship. Not many times do you see a team like this just do nothing but bring everyone back, because obviously the chemistry was as perfect as it could be. Everyone gets along. Everyone knows their roles. And they have a squad here that could be the next dynasty in the NBA. So why break that up? Why prematurely break it up? Everyone's on the same page. Some guys took pay cuts. Some guys took less than what they could have if they looked elsewhere or even waited another year or so. Everyone's locked in. I'm going to give them an A. I'm not going to give them an A plus like I did Philly. But even though they did nothing, I think there is something to be said about not the organization being able to bring back all those guys, but the guys are willing to take the money that they did to come back. Because again, there were a handful of guys that could have made more elsewhere. But they decided to stay in Boston, build something here, or continue to build what they started building last year. And yeah, just going into the season, just like they did last year, same roster, stronger, better, and looking to repeat. So that's an A for me. Easy A.
Yeah, no, you get an argument for me, man. When you're able to bring back all your guys and actually afford them, it's pretty simple that you want to repeat. Like I'd hope that's the message that you're trying to send. But like this is what we saw the Warriors do in the last decade. It's what we saw the Heat even do. We saw the Lakers do it as well. Teams go into the luxury tax whenever they're really serious about keeping a group together. That's what I remember the Lakers doing back in 08 and 09. They lost to the Celtics, obviously, in 08. Pivoted back, re-signed some big names, swapped out an Ariza for Ron Artest, 2009, 2010, whatever. So just making the necessary moves is what's important as a championship team that's trying to repeat or at least be relevant the next year and the following year. So, we talked about this throughout the season, that I believe that the Celtics, it's a failure if they don't win at least 2 to 3 championships in this decade alone. And this is a good step to go in the right direction because, hey, you got Tatum and Brown, like not even 30 yet. These guys possibly have more to their games as they enter their prime and continue to be dominant, top 10 to top 5 players, whatever it is. So the Celtics get no grade lower than an A for me. You still have Derek White, who you re-signed to, who honestly, I appreciated Derek White and what he brought to the game, but seeing it for Team USA, it looks just so much better. And it warrants all the money that he's going to get from this contract and anything he receives in the future, this dude is the perfect plug and play player, along with Drew Holiday, who's also the
100%.
perfect plug and play player. So I feel sorry for the rest of the East. I feel sorry for Joel Embiid. I feel sorry for Jalen Brunson. I feel sorry for everybody in this division, everybody in the conference, everybody in the NBA. The Celtics should be title favorites, literally as long as they're on the right trajectory every single year. Again, 2 to 3 championships is all I'm expecting. I think realistically, with the group that they got, they should really win like 4 to 5 in this decade. Right? Maybe I'm putting a lot of pressure on them, but the roster is very talented. They look really
It
good.
is. It is. Obviously, to get to that point, a lot of things have to keep going in the right direction. Things have to go right. We had injury scares with Kristaps last year. So, health considering as well. But they're setting themselves up, Jerry, to be exactly what you said, that dominant championship favorite team for the next 4 or 5 years, at least even. So, and also I want to give a special shout out to Steve Kerr because I think he really is going to awaken a monster in Jason Tatum, benching him, making people question him again. And now he's got to come out next year and show people how good he is. Peyton Pritchard said that earlier. He goes, I'm excited for next season because I think Tatum's just going to get that much better because of the doubt and how he was treated on Team USA. So shout Steve Kerr, bum ass coach. Because of your bum ass decision, Jason Tatum's just going to be even better next year. So something I want to throw in as a footnote there.
I'm not going to bash Steve Kerr this episode. I'm just going
to. We got it all out of our system last week. I still have a little bit left in the tank.
Hey, you know what? You landed in a very fortunate situation. You think, you're the Swami of All-Star Whisperer, or whatever you want to call yourself, and then you don't let Tatum play, and okay.
Hey man, facts are facts. So there we go. That's our report cards for the Atlantic Division. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every week. So next week we'll be back with either the Central or the Southeast Division in the East. Me and Jerry will discuss that off camera. We'll figure out what we want to do for next week. But there you go. Let us know in the comments what grades you would give these teams for their offseason moves as of right now. And yeah, I mean, we just talked about it, so we're going to close it out with our last topic, segueing back into Team USA basketball. Kevin Durant passes Lisa Leslie to become the all-time leading scorer for USA basketball, men and women. Congratulations, Kevin Durant. What an accomplishment. What is a crazy accomplishment. Kevin Durant, obviously known as, in my opinion, the greatest or one of the greatest pure scorers in NBA history. Whether it's in the NBA, in the Olympics, he is buckets. He's just pure buckets. He knows how to get them. Knows how to show out. So I mean, he said in a tweet last night, he said, "Records are meant to be broken. I'll hold on to this until another great comes along and passes me up." Lisa Leslie, you are the gold standard in basketball. I appreciate your love and support throughout the years. Much love to you always. It's all about the gold, baby. Let's get it, fellas.
Yeah, and let's do it. I think Kevin Durant, like you said, is just an anomaly scoring wise. There's nothing that anybody really knows what to do with him on the defensive side of the ball. So congrats to Kevin Durant, man. I think there's still more buckets to get, right? We got Serbia here. Mm-hmm. We're recording this on a Wednesday, but we got Serbia tomorrow in the semifinal, and then I'm calling it now. I'm thinking we're going to play Germany in the gold medal game on Saturday. So
Canada eliminated. We talked about odds and picks last week, and I was talking about Canada.
I told you.
Gone.
I told you. Germany's the one to watch.
Just like that.
I didn't think that Canada was going to wet the bet against France. I actually picked Canada to win, but I had Germany taking them out here. But Germany's going to compete for a gold medal. That team is really good.
They're good. They're really good. That's them in France, right? They'll compete.
Yep.
And then, okay. So we'll keep our eye out for that. We said from the beginning, gold or bust, baby. We're only here to win the gold. So
that's the only color I see, man.
And if we got the all-time leading scorer on our side, I feel good. So
LeBron's 6 in assists also.
LeBron is number 1 on the MVP charts right now, which he should be. So for a 39-year-old.
Can I say, man, my Lakers represented out there in Paris. Doing great.
But all right, that's all we have here today. Jerry, do you have anything you want to end this podcast with? Any closing statements, questions, concerns? What anything you want to add in?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that as old as Kevin Durant and LeBron James are at 35 or 36 for KD, about to turn 40 in a few months for Bron here, that these guys are still they should still be an argument for top 5 in the NBA today. I think I don't think we could really argue that too much. I know guys are ready to throw Tatum and Anthony Edwards and all these new sexier names, the younger names in, but man, our elder statesmen, when they're locked in and ready to go, man, a 39-year-old is still the best player on my favorite basketball team. It's
That's says something.
like, hey, I understand
They're
that.
not ready to let go of that top five
No,
title.
no, I'm not. Like when healthy and armed and ready to go and playing at a high level, I don't think a lot of people could tell me other than Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis. I don't think there's a lot of guys I could really put ahead of them, man. It's hard.
Hey, man. Again, they're these guys, these old heads are proving that they still have a lot left in the tank. Whether it be scoring, all around winning like LeBron,
39 and feeling fine.
They have something to prove, brother. So
Yeah.
it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting to see them next year and how this carries over. And health considering as well, we'll still be seeing some top tier basketball from both of them next year. But yeah, that's all we got here today. Episode 49, one away from the big 5-0. If you are watching here on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. Put in the comments again your grades, your report card grades for the Atlantic Division, those teams down below. Give us your thoughts on Lauri Markkanen re-signing with the Jazz, whether you think the Warriors messed up by not trading for him. If you're an audio-only listener, please make sure to give us a 5-star review, rating, all that good stuff. Check out our shorts and our gamified content here on YouTube and TikTok as well. And until the big 5-0, Jerry, until next week, peace out.
Shubba.